Hello, this is Kate from dailytarotgirl.com, and in this video I'm going to be unboxing and reviewing the Animal Wisdom Oracle cards by Dr. Cara Gubbins. So I'm going to start by showing you the deck. This is an oracle deck with, I think it's got about 40 cards total, and this is what the backs look like. It's kind of cute. It's a little dog on a mountaintop, I think, with a little conversation bubble. And I'll start by talking about cardstock, and then we'll talk about the guidebook. So cardstock, the finish is not really glossy, but it's also not super matte, so it's kind of something in between. And cardstock is a little on, I would say, on the thin side, which is okay. I sometimes prefer a thinner cardstock to a really thick cardstock just because it's easier to shuffle and they're a little bit bendier. I can tell I'm going to really beat these cards up though. This deck's going to look probably well worn pretty quickly. And then the guidebook. The guidebook is really good. It's got some info in the beginning about, how to work with these cards, how to do a reading. So that's good. And then there's pictures of each card and then kind of an explanation of each card. Okay, so let's have a look at the deck. So each deck, and because this is an animal oracle, each deck has a picture of a different animal. And then there's 3 words, and these 3 words have significance, which is explained in the book. So the first word represents the spiritual gift of that animal. The second word, the spiritual lesson. And the third is the message to people. So I'm just going to slowly go through the deck, let you get a look at each card. So this is a really good deck. What I like about it is that it's very straightforward. I've used it, I've done a few readings with it, and I find it to be a very straightforward, user-friendly, kind of easy deck to read with. And I think it's perfect for those who are new to Oracle cards, because it is very, very easy to read. I can hear my cat is starting to whine in the background. She likes to wait till I start a video and then gets really vocal. I find I really like the words. Like sometimes I have some decks where I find the words are distracting from me reading the cards, but I actually find I really like the words on these cards. I find that the words, they inspire me to kind of go off on a tangent and to explore different topics that I maybe wouldn't normally explore. So, like I said, this deck is perfect for beginners, but it's also good for anyone who feels a real connection to the animal world and any animal lovers out there. What I love about this deck is that each card, because each card represents a different animal, each card has a different feel, a different vibe, right? Because like the feel of otter and, just that, the whole energy of otter is so different from the energy of owl, right? And so I find it really easy to connect to the different themes and energies with these cards, more so than other oracle decks that I have. I remember I used to be so freaked out by octopuses when I was a little kid. I was obsessed. I thought that like they were just lingering beneath the surface of the ocean, and I figured they were all huge and that they wanted to grab me with their tentacles. I remember being like really obsessed with octopuses there for a while. Cats. I love cats. So I used it for last week's my weekly reading. So I did a video of it, and it was my first time reading with the deck, and I have to say it is an easy deck to read with. I really enjoyed doing it. So we'll do a kind of another test reading once I've gone through all these cards, so you can see how this deck reads. Now, I spoke to Cara about this deck, and she said she originally created it just for herself. She just wanted something very simple, straightforward to use. And so she originally created this for herself, and then over time people would see it and they'd say, oh, I want one for myself. And so that's why she made it available. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay. Have I gone through all of them yet? I'm not sure. Horse. I used to be so fixated on riding a horse. I hadn't ridden a horse till I was in my 30s, and it was something I always wanted to do. And then my father-in-law's girlfriend actually has a horse, and she said, "Oh, you can ride mine anytime." And so she took me out horseback riding, and I got thrown off. This horse got really excited as we went for a walk, and then as it saw the barn, it got really excited and it just bolted and then threw me off its back. And I was okay. I did get injured. I had to go to the chiropractor a few times, and it was probably the most terrifying experience of my entire life. I never want to do it again. Okay, we're back where we started with the African elephant. Okay, so let's do a sample read here just to see how these cards read. So I'm going to give them a shuffle. And I think I'm going to draw two cards. Well, let's start with one. We'll start with one card. So the question I'm going to ask this deck is, what energy should we be tapping into today? So this applies to anyone who's watching this video, regardless of whether you're watching it on the day I post it or a year or two from now. What energy do you want to be tapping into today to get the most out of the day? Okay. Oh, we have frog. Okay, for some reason I wasn't expecting this card. I don't know why. Okay, so here we have frog, and frog is about equanimity, right action, and trust your intuition. So out of these three words, my attention goes right to trust your intuition. That's the one that's like really standing out to me the strongest with frog. Okay, so trusting your intuition today. And what's interesting about intuition is that your intuition is really the wild, kind of untamed aspect of who you are. This is your instinctual self. This is kind of your animal side, your animal nature is your intuition. And so that's what I think is so cool about working with animal oracle cards, is that the animal kingdom really is, we all have an animal instinctual side. And working with your intuition is all about tapping into that side and really honoring the animal nature part of you. So that's something that you want to do today, and it's going to be different for everyone. So ask yourself, how can I honor my intuition today, and how can I make an effort to connect with it? Okay, let's draw another card. So keeping this one in mind, I'm going to draw one more card, and I'm going to ask the question, what do we need to focus on this week? Okay, and we have whale. Oh, weird. Look at that. Interesting. Equanimity. It shows up on both of these. Wow. Okay. So that's big. And here is the point where I have to admit, I'm not even sure what equanimity means. I feel so embarrassed. It makes me think of like, it's not a quality, equanimity. Now I'm going to have to Google it after I finish this video. Equanimity. Okay, so hopefully you know what this word means, because obviously it's really important. It's come up on both of these cards. It's not a word I hear a lot. It's not a word I've ever really used. Okay, so whale is not only about equanimity, but cycles and surrender and love and care for oceans. So in terms of what to focus on this week, well, you could focus on love and care for oceans. Obviously, equanimity is a big one. But cycles and surrender, that's really interesting to me. It actually makes me think of the High Priestess in the tarot. She's all about cycles as well. So cycles and surrender, and more importantly, surrendering to the cycles. So being, and this is, I think, where you want to trust your intuition, tap into your intuition here, but really notice kind of where you're at right now, because we all go through cycles. There's always, cycles where we're busy and we have a lot of energy and we're active. I go through cycles where I have tons and tons of creative ideas, and then long stretches of time where I don't have any ideas and I'm not very creative. And there's times where I just want to retreat and go within. And then there's times where I really want to be social, I want to share things, I want to be more outwardly focused. So this card is reminding you this week to really use your intuition to tap into where you're at. What cycle are you in? And surrender to that cycle, because it's so unwise to try to push yourself to do the opposite of where your energy is at. Like if I'm in a retreat phase where I just want to go inward and not be that productive, it is so pointless to force myself to be really active and creative. Like I won't get very far. I'll just exhaust myself and get really frustrated. So that's what I'm getting from this card. And I like that both of these animals are water-dwelling creatures. This is about water. And water makes me think of the subconscious and, going beneath the surface. With the frog is above the surface and the whale is beneath the surface. But yeah, it makes me think of, going deeper, diving into the subconscious, into dreams, paying attention to those things. And then also water is associated with the emotions and feelings, relationships. So I think those things are all going to be important things to really honor and pay attention to. Okay, so that was fun. And I have to admit, these cards are pretty easy to connect to, because I find that it's got, you can either connect to one or all of these words and phrases. You can connect to the image, you can connect to the energy of the particular animal, you can connect to some of the symbols on the card like I did with the water. So I feel like there's a lot of jumping off points where you can kind of dive into your intuition. So really lovely deck, and I'm looking forward to using these cards in the future. So this is the Animal Wisdom Oracle cards by Dr. Cara Gubbins. And if you're interested in purchasing these cards or learning more, I'm going to put the link to do so in the description box below this video. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.